Greetings, Paige, Turners, and prepare to be captivated by the story that awaits. Brace yourselves for a gripping tale of Pineapple Street by Jenny Jackson. Thank you for taking the time to listen. Also, thank you very much for your support. At the outset of Pineapple Street, in the prelude, Curtis McCoy was having coffee at Joe Coffee when he eavesdropped on a nearby table of women. As the daughter rebuked her mother for having bourgeois ideals, she exclaimed that she forgot her Cartier bracelet in her friend's Beamu. In Chapter 1, Sasha was frustrated that Cord's sister refused to remove her belongings from the house. When the couple moved into the house on Pineapple Street, they made an agreement with Cord's parents to live in his childhood home rent-free. Sasha never felt welcomed into the Stockton family, even after she and Cord married. His sisters were cordial, but their family was a unit, a closed circuit Sasha couldn't ever seem to penetrate. At a housewarming party for Chad and Tilda's new condo on Orange Street, the guests handed Sasha empty plates and asking her to refill their drinks. When she told Cord and his sisters, later that evening, they jokingly laughed that she was wearing the same outfit as the maid, which must have confused people. In Chapter 2, Georgiana struggled to cope with her crush on her coworker, Brady. They interacted infrequently at the office, and she was delighted when he approached her at the mailboxes. When she was confused about an address on an outgoing envelope, he informed her that the United Arab Emirates was a country. She was embarrassed, but glad that they had actually talked. At her weekly tennis game with her mother, Georgiana thought that in an alternate universe, when she and Tilda would have gone to a gossipy brunch after tennis, and Georgiana would have confessed her humiliation at the Long Island bar. However, she and Tilda struggled to communicate, and their relationship was largely held together by their tennis matches. Darlie questioned if her children's obsession with death was a sign of their broody, maladaptive identities in Chapter 3. After she became pregnant with Hatcher, Darlie decided to step back from her career. Malcolm supported the family on his income, working in the airline banking industry, and Darlie felt content in their marriage. Before the wedding, Darlie couldn't ask Malcolm to sign a prenup because the entire thing felt like arranging for their eventual divorce and drew a thick line between what was hers and what was his. Instead, she forfeited the rights to her trust fund and had the inheritance passed directly to her children. Later, when she began vomiting from a stomach bug, Darlie called Malcolm's mom, who obliging rushed over to take care of the children. The next morning, Darlie awoke to a text from her husband saying that he had been fired. In Chapter 4, Sasha thought about her wedding. Tilda and Chip paid for the extravagant affair, and she warned her cousins not to make a scene. While the Stocktons often talked about their family's debauched past and told comical crime stories, she knew her family's behavior would be seen as classless because they were not a part of the upper echelon. While Cord was not doting and overly affectionate, Sasha was happy in their marriage. After her relationship with Mullen, she was done with grand, dramatic displays of affection. In Chapter 5, Georgiana was elated when Brady asked if she wanted to play tennis with him. The following day after work, they walked to Atlantic Avenue together, and Georgiana felt like her dreams were finally being realized. When he left the U.S. to travel with the nonprofit, she realized how bland her life was without the excitement of their now weekly tennis matches. When he returned, Georgiana decided to ask him over to her apartment, and they slept together for the first time. While they kept their relationship private from their colleagues, they fell easily into a routine outside the office. They met for tennis and sex every Tuesday, then sex without tennis on weekends. Brady showed no interest in meeting her family or friends, but she was not perturbed and felt that it made their relationship more intense. Georgiana was in love with him. Darlie worried about Malcolm's job in Chapter 6. At work, Malcolm had been contending with a new hire, Chuck Vanderbeer, who came from a well-connected family. While the bank was excited to have a Vanderbeer on their team, they shuffled him to Malcolm's team to mitigate his negligent, unprofessional behavior. He was liability to the company, but he was not punished for leaving a deal book on a plane because of his family name. Shortly before Malcolm texted Darlie, he had boarded a flight without Wi-Fi. While he was disconnected, Chuck leaked the details of their merger plan and the airlines called off the deal. The company fired Malcolm immediately. In Chapter 7, Sasha continued to be frustrated by his family's disregard for her personal space. Cord suggested that they try to clean out his old bedroom instead. As they dug through the piles of family possessions that had been stored in the bedroom after the sale of another property, they played a game with the family photographs. Sasha had to guess who was a Stockton and who married into the family. Unlike the Stocktons, Sasha's family was not wary about welcoming new people into their family. After she broke up with Mullen, he continued to spend time with her brothers and parents. Georgiana attended a party in Brighton Beach in Chapter 8. She raided her mother's closet to find an outfit for the oligarch chick theme. At the festivities, she bumped into her former classmate, Curtis, and congenially said, "Hello." However, Curtis was curt and abrupt, disdaining the festivities. He did not understand how Georgiana couldn't see how fucked up it was that a bunch of rich white kids who met at private school were dressed in costumes to ridicule an immigrant group in their own neighborhood. Georgiana was irritated by his rudeness. He was also a rich white kid, and her friends were kind people who happened to have money. Later, when Georgiana tried to explain the interaction to Brady, she struggled to articulate why Curtis had frustrated her. Later, on a business trip, Georgiana was excited to meet up with Brady after the expo. She left a note for her roommate Meg, pretending to visit an old friend when she met up with Brady. Georgiana was shocked when Meg warned her to be careful with Brady, who was married. After an embarrassing trip to the pool with her children, Darlie took Poppy and Hatcher to the park before dinner in Chapter 9. In Chapter 9, she was surprised to see Sasha, but as they chatted, her sister, in-law, asked if they wanted to come over to Pineapple Street. When Sasha asked about Malcolm's work travel, Darlie told her that he had been fired. She did not want to tell the family because on some secret level, a level they could never even acknowledge to themselves, they might have welcomed Malcolm more readily to their family because he was financially secure. Darlie made Sasha promise that she would not tell Cord. After their incidental run in at the park, Darlie and Sasha began spending more time together, going to lunch or meeting in the park. Darlie felt her guard drop for the first time around her sister-in-law. Sasha felt more like a member of the family than an interloper. In Chapter 10, Sasha noticed Cord's increased interest in having children. Soon, when they walked, he commented on baby strollers and was excited when their friends asked him to change their baby's diaper. While the idea of children had always been vague, Sasha and Cord decided to start trying. When she finally had a positive pregnancy test, Sasha called her mother to relay the news. In the years since she moved to New York, her parents told her less about their lives. On the phone, her mother offhandedly remarked that her father was coughing a lot recently, but assured her that it was nothing to worry about. In Chapter 11, Georgiana texted Brady after the conference, revealing that she knew he was married. When she left her apartment, Brady was waiting outside with coffee for her. They walked to the promenade, and he explained that he thought she knew, but when he realized that she was unaware, it felt too late. His wife used to work for the nonprofit, but moved to Seattle for another job. In the following days, at work, Georgiana could not bring herself to make eye contact with Brady. She was still in love with him despite his lie. However, when Brady asked if they could talk, Georgiana agreed. As they entered the apartment, they began to kiss and slept together again. Georgiana and Brady fell into a new rhythm, pretending that nothing had changed in their relationship. At work, she felt isolated from her coworkers. When they spoke about weekend plans, she could not say that she was going to sleep with Brady and spend Sunday lying in bed with him. She was frustrated when he had another trip coming up, but consoled herself that it would only be a few days. However, 4 days after he left, the company called a meeting and revealed that the plane Brady and Meg were traveling on crashed. There were no survivors. In Chapter 12, Darlie and her family attended a fundraiser for Henry Street School that Poppy and Hatcher attended. The families of students bought tables at the event and participated in a live and silent auction to raise money for the school. The evening started with bidding on a Henry Street teddy bear that went for $8,000. In Chapter 13, the Stocktons attended Cord's cousin's wedding in Greenwich. At the reception, Georgiana spilled red sauce on her dress and Sasha offered to switch dresses with her. She had brought an extra because she never knew how to dress for the family's gathering. She lingered back at the house, talking to her baby bump, but knew she could not evade returning to the party. When she rejoined the other guests, Sasha overheard her sisters-in-law talking with Bubbles. When Darlie asked about Georgiana's dress, she explained that Sasha had switched with her. Bubbles was confused because they always confused Sasha's the gold digger and didn't know her real name, 193. Sasha did not tell Cord about what she heard, but she was resolved to stop trying to please Georgiana and Darlie. Georgiana isolated in her depression after the wedding in Chapter 14. She pretended to have a stomach flu to avoid going out with friends, unable to tell them that she had still been sleeping with Brady before he died. When her friend Lena insisted that she attend a party, Georgiana took a Valium. Tipsy from the pills and alcohol, when Georgiana bumped into Curtis, she kissed him. The next morning, Georgiana was hungover and embarrassed. Several days later, at her parents' home, Tilda asked if she remembered her old classmate, Curtis McCoy. He was featured in the Styles section for giving away his inheritance to atone for his family's participation in warmongering. After reading the article, Georgiana asked Chip about her trust fund. She never looked at the statement and was unaware of how much money she had. At work, Georgiana was dismayed when her boss asked her to convince Curtis to attend their benefit. Georgiana emailed Curtis, attempting to make the email as professional and nonchalant as possible. At the benefit, Curtis noted that he was trying to get out of the privilege bubble. Both he and Georgiana were born into. While Georgiana felt invigorated by their banter, she also felt guilty for attending a gala in designer clothes while Brady was dead. Tilda threw a gender reveal party for Sasha's baby in Chapter 15. At the festivities, Georgiana was visibly drunk and disinterested in behaving cordially for the benefit of other guests. Sasha attempted to defuse the situation by taking Georgiana aside, but she did not want her sister-in-law's help. Georgiana blurted out that Pineapple Street was not even Sasha's house and called her an embarrassment. Georgiana refused to explain why she was upset, telling them to ask the gold digger. In Chapter 16, Sasha told the Stocktons that Georgiana was sleeping with a married co-worker who recently died in a plane crash. Cord and Darlie were outraged that she had kept their sister's heartbreak a secret. Cord had private conferences with the family, shutting the door to the bedroom so Sasha could not eavesdrop. Sasha felt frustrated, and when her mother called to say that her father was in the hospital, she packed her things and drove to Rhode Island. She went to her parents' house before the hospital and was dismayed that Mullen was already there. She could not understand why he had to cling to her family years after their breakup. He explained that he had always loved her family, and their acceptance saved him. Sasha resolved to be nicer to Mullen than the Stocktons were to her. Chapter 17. Epilogue. On Monday morning, in Chapter 17, Curtis emailed Georgiana to get together, and her family texted about her relationship with Brady. She dismissed her classmate's invitation and brooded that Sasha had told her secret to the family, unaware that she had directed her to do so. Georgiana made an appointment with Bill Wallace, the family's investment manager. When she asked about liquidating her trusts, he was alarmed and explained that she did not have the power to do so. He and her mother were the trustees, and she would need their approval to pull funds. After tennis with Tilda, Georgiana broached the subject of using her trust fund to finance not-for-profits. In Chapter 18, Darlie was angry that her parents had given Pineapple Street to Cord and Sasha. She felt overlooked and frustrated that no one asked if she wanted to live in her childhood home. If she could redo her life, she would have continued to work and make Malcolm sign the prenup. Darlie was elated when she received an email from C. Habib, who she met at the school fundraiser. She knew that he could be a potentially critical connection in Malcolm's job search. When she heard about Georgiana's plan to use her money to fund nonprofits, Darlie was concerned. She felt that Georgiana was barely an adult and had no idea what money even meant. When she visited Cord to talk about their sister's plan, he had appraisers moving the family's belongings out of the house. He explained that Sasha was visiting her sick father, and Darlie was stunned that he did not mention it sooner. Later, she sent an extravagant flower arrangement to Sasha. Cord showed up to Sasha's family home in Chapter 19, and Sasha decided to talk about her frustration with the Stocktons. She felt that he always took their side. His sisters did not like her because she was not like her because she was not from the same class. She was not old money, 264. Cord promised to be on her side going forward, and Sasha forgave Darlie after she received flowers. In Chapter 20, Georgiana questioned if she was irritated with Sasha because she represented change and called her to invite her to tennis. Later, she sent an email to Curtis with a make-believe-style section article about her donating her millions to charity. Darlie resolved to tell her parents about Malcolm's unemployment in Chapter 21. She was still afraid that they would reject her husband if he was not rich and successful, but she agreed to give them a chance to surprise her. Shortly after she told Tilda and Chip about the layoff, Malcolm received a job overseeing the IPO of Emirates on the New York Stock Exchange. In Chapter 22, Sasha planned a birthday party or chip at Pineapple Street. She hired set dressers for the nautical theme festivities, and Tilda praised her party planning. At dinner, Cord and Sasha told Darlie that they wanted her and Malcolm to live at Pineapple Street. In the epilogue, Curtis McCoy opened a holiday card from the Stocktons and read the long letter from Tilda. She celebrated the family's accomplishments over the past year, noted Sasha and Cord's move to Red Hook, and grieved the loss of the Chippendale Camelback saw. On the back of the card, Georgiana had scribbled a love note teasing that he would not be able to get out of her parents' going-away party.